Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, talking with Sandy Gennaro. He was the drummer for some big names, and now he's speaking all over the world. He just got back from Malaysia, and you can learn more about his experiences in his book, Beat the Odds in Business and in Life, by going to his website, www.sandygennaro.com. That's www.sandygennaro.com, where you can purchase a book. You can get your own drumsticks like I have and learn all the specifics about how Sandy has lived his life and the lessons that he learned and teaches to others now. And he might transform your life. And since this is the fourth segment, we like to talk about legacy.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
There's a theme that I've noticed in reading your book, Sandy, and listening to you speak and watching the videos on your website, and that's your desire to transform lives. And so if I had to talk to a friend about what Sandy Gennaro's life was all about, I would say, I think that he was here to transform lives. Would that be accurate to you?
I think it would be.
And so
I think that would be transform lives in a positive way.
And
but
so
you can also transform a life in a negative way.
Yeah, that's true. So how did you develop that? How did this come to you?
It's who I am. It's not that I read a book and I want to use the knowledge in a book. It's just basically who I've always been. Mm-hmm. Things that happen in my life, I basically just have a positive slant of the future. And when I mentioned before the belief in the God energy, that has been a major proponent of my success, because the God energy and my belief in my assignment, my assigning myself to the God energy and surrendering to the God energy is like having a rudder on my boat. I don't really know where the boat is going, but it's got direction. Mm-hmm. And the God energy gives me that direction. And I like to think that when people remember me, they after I'm dead and gone, they will remember in the fact that not only was I an instrument of their pleasure in the sense where I was able to play drums in a concert that they saw and they had a great time, and they went home having a great time telling their friends about the concert, and I was the drummer in that band. They might not mention me by name, but they might mention a Cyndi Lauper or a Joan Jett or a Bo Diddley or Mamas and Papas or Monkeys or whatever. But I was the engine of that car on that stage and in that concert. So not only for the musical legacy that I leave, but it's personal. I had no idea what I was going to do when I retired. But again, because of my interest in putting a smile on somebody's face and throwing a drumstick to a handicapped person in a wheelchair, led to my speaking career. And that's what allowed me now, because that's the way the God energy works. The God energy placed that person in a wheelchair in that gig in San Diego out of 20,000 people. I was inspired to give a drumstick to that person. And why? Why was that person there in the first place? She's handicapped. Mm-hmm. But there's a whole rhyme or reason about the events that happen in our lives. Like the God energy, to me, using an easy to understand metaphor, is like the Wizard of Oz, mm-hmm. behind the curtain, working the dials and on your behalf, because you subscribe, and because the God energy, when you align with that positivity of the God energy, the God energy wants you to provide more of that. So
Right.
the God energy gives you opportunities, gave me opportunities because of my feeling of wanting to put a smile on that handicapped person's face. Now I want to put a smile in front of a room full of CEOs at a convention, a CEO, a Vistage Summit in San Diego, or a Vistage Summit in San Antonio. It enables you, it gives you more wherewithal in order to provide that positivity. And I'm along for the ride. To me, I'm living life with a wind to my back. I wake up in the morning, what good is going to happen today?
Well,
And
tell us about the last two letters in BEATS, tenacity and service.
well, tenacity comes because problems, and we were talking about this before, where problems happen to everybody. So you have to realize, once you realize in your own mind that when a problem happens to you in your life on your way to a goal or whatever, it's there to teach you a lesson. It's not to push you into the ground and defeat you. It's there for you to learn how to do something better or how to do something differently. We're not all masters of our own universe. Sometimes we make a mistake in the way we think and the way we do stuff. So a mistake happens, a problem happens as a result of that. So on my way up in the music business, I've had a lot of different problems and I've made a lot of mistakes. But my mistakes that I've made, I've tried to learn from them. And as a result, you should never stop learning in your life, because when you stop learning, you become stagnant. And the next day is like you're on the downward side of the hill. When you keep learning and interest in learning and being open-minded to learn new things, no matter if you're 17 or you're 77, you're in an upward trajectory. So tenacity gives you when you have a staunch belief and you're enthusiastic and your attitude is positive, it gives you the tenacity to overcome your problems.
Okay.
And again, the last one is service. To me, service to others. I feel that I could be a rock star drummer and playing in front of 100,000 people, but when afterwards, if I'm out going on the way to the bus and this little person asks me for an autograph or a drumstick or whatever, or a selfie, I'm there for them. I use my ability and the gift that I've been given to play drums with famous people or to speak in front of a room full of CEOs in Malaysia. I'll use that to put a smile on somebody's face when they want to smile. The feeling that I get, hey, can I have a selfie with you? Sure. I get excited. I never lost enthusiasm about, hey, man, I'm a friggin' drummer. And there's CEOs, in charge of $1 billion business wants a selfie with me. I consider that a privilege. And I never lost sight of that. And I'm always there signing whatever you want me to sign, whatever. Speaking about signing, you mentioned my book, and I do appreciate that very much, Todd. If they go to my website, you'll get a signed copy of the book.
Yeah.
You can always go to Amazon and get a book, Amazon Prime, you'll get it the next day, but it won't be signed. But so, I'm always willing to do that. And that's basically it.
Yeah, that's awesome. But there's more in the book about service and your beliefs about how that helps you overcome the odds in business and life. So can you say more about that?
There's a slide in my presentation, and it says, helping one person may not change the world, but it may change the world for that one person. Helping one person. And my helping one person, Dave Wolf, in a doorway by signing, I didn't have to. I was in a hurry. I signed an autograph for him. I stopped and engaged him. I posed for a picture with him. He asked me to get him a gig in New York City. I was in Connecticut at the time, playing a gig, and he asked me to do, hey buddy, can you, whatever. I gave him my card. I gave him my home address and my home number in order for me to help him get a gig in New York City. 3 years later, he turns out to be Cyndi Lauper's manager, finds this girl. And not only did it change my life because he asked me to join Cyndi's band as a result of my attention to him in that doorway 3 years earlier, but on that tour with Cyndi Lauper, it was the biggest tour of 1984. I met the woman that I'm still with today, 38 years later, 39 years later.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so, and you heard that story at the summit.
Yeah, you met your wife at one of the concerts.
That's correct. But I only played that concert because I engaged with the guy that managed the Cyndi Lauper 3 years earlier, before he even knew who Cyndi Lauper was. Cyndi Lauper was nowhere to be found anywhere. Before anybody knew who she was, before she was an unknown person trying to get a gig. And he ended up meeting her at a party somewhere, became her manager, and then end up thinking about me and the concert that he saw me at 3 years earlier. And because I engaged him in the doorway, he said, "Sandy, you were so nice to me in that doorway. I want you to be that you would fit personally with her perfectly." And that's how I joined the band. And it's like, if you look for opportunities, and the question that I ask the listeners is, how many Daves in the doorways have you passed up because you were too busy, or because you were too full of ego that you think you were too good to engage this one person, or throw a quarter in a guitar case when somebody's busking on the sidewalk, a homeless guy, give him $1 or whatever. It'll come back to you. You know what, Todd? Because I firmly believe that no good deed goes unrewarded, whether it's telling somebody a joke and putting a smile on somebody's face, or nodding their head hello when you pass somebody in a supermarket, or whether you're giving somebody's life-changing advice and they end up taking your advice and it changes their life in a positive way. No positive engagement, it goes unrewarded, and conversely, no negative engagement goes unpunished.
Oh, wow.
In a matter of degrees, right. Because life, in my belief to the core, life is a balance. Life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever you send out is going to come back and hit you in the butt, whether it's positive or negative. This is how you swim with the tide, along with the tide. This is how you live when you wake up in the morning. This is how you live with the wind to your back. It becomes effortless. And if you wake up in the morning and you're stressed out and you're wondering and your life is one big drag to you, well, then you may want to self-assess your belief in the God energy. Number one, your positive enthusiasm about future events. Your attitude, make it positive. The glass is always half full, and as long as there's a breath in your life, there's a hope. And your tenacity to overcome problems, and the service to others. Think outside yourself with a sense of altruism and a sense of empathy. Look at somebody else through their eyes before you criticize them.
Thank you so much.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.